who's here somewhere in the back. She's a Nashua resident, but really other reps, we have Cindy Rosenwald from Ward 3 in the back. As well as Alan Cohen from Ward 3 in Nashua. We have Latha Manjaputi, who is here somewhere, I believe. Latha is here from Ward 3. I saw Ken Gidge, who's a rep from Ward 6. Where is he? Bob Beck is from Manchester, another state rep who's from Peggy Gilmore is a former senator from Hollis who and she's running again, but she was a big supporter of rail. And we have Dan Weeks, who's trying to get into the executive council. Somewhere, but I don't see it. He tried to fool me by sitting right here. I think I've gotten to everyone, and if I have, oh, Dan Kelly is the city's representative on the rail authority. Dan is David Priest, right here from the rail. He's from NRPC as well. So everybody, so we only have a short time, so we wanted to kick this off by first saying how important rail is for New Hampshire. We know that it will bring jobs. We know that it will bring economic development. We know that it will help us draw the millennials, the young people that we really want in New Hampshire. We know it's a green alternative to trying to commute down Route 3. We know that it is a great alternative to driving and everything else. So for all these reasons, and I know I'm preaching to the choir, so I don't want to preach too long, but for all these reasons, all of us know that rail is vital for New Hampshire. We have the largest urban area, Manchester and Nashua, without rail in the United States. And it is time that this change. And with the reps we have, with Dan Weeks and Betty and everyone in the State House, we believe we can turn this around, although this is a long-term project. Briefly, where are we? And if I am inaccurate in any way, Betty can correct me. The governor proposed, with the DOT's support, avid support, I would say, a 10-year transportation plan, which included $4 million for the next step, the last step before actual implementation for rail to Manchester. This doesn't even cost any state money. All of the money is federal, with some so-called toll credits which are awarded by the federal government, so there is no state money required. It's in the DOT's 10-year transportation plan. It went first to the House Public Works Committee, where Marty and Carl served. They fought for it, and there was an attempt by the chair and some others to cut the $4 million out in the committee. That failed on a 10-10 vote. So the transportation plan went to the floor of the House with the rail money in. Then some people, the chair of the committee and others, made it a floor fight. They fought to remove the $4 million from the transportation plan, and they were successful on a close 174 to 162 vote. Now the bill goes without the rail money over to the Senate. And what do you think? So we have in the Senate a number of supporters, but we need to convert some others, I would say. What do you think the chances are in the Senate at this point?
Right now, it's the same players that were defeated it last time, because it originally was in the governor's budget in the first half of the session. And there were our other, and not Senator Gilmore, but our other Nashua senator and Senator Daniels were two people who voted against putting it in. That would have been enough to carry the day. But as of now, Senator Daniels voted, he was on my committee for the bill that we passed, and he helped, actually helped quite a bit with that bill and signed on to that. So he hopefully has at least come around a little bit as to the importance of rail. I will continue to talk to him. Senator Abard, I have continually tried to talk to him and tried to get him to sign on to the bill that I had, and I don't know why he continues to say no.
So
I
he's,
think it's more
he's
political.
here. We can hold him accountable, right?
Yeah.
You
We can punish him.
can hold all of them accountable, depending on where you live. Certainly in Nashua, if you live in wards 1, 2, or 5, that's who Senator Abard represents in Nashua. But at any rate, I would certainly call him. I would put a lot of pressure on him. I would put a lot of pressure on Senator Daniels. Senator Booton, he's Bedford, and there are a few people here from Manchester. This is incredibly important to Manchester and to the airport. So the fact that Senator Booton would be against this is, you know, another mystery. But we all know what Councilor Wheeler, how he has felt. So at any rate, those would be, and I think Senator Daniels might be the vice chair of that committee. But at any rate, Senator Booton is the chair. So I would certainly, you have all these numbers on your list, and frankly, I would call all of them but me. Don't waste your time.
So we have this fact sheet, and it gives you the names of, and the various senators. Now, from Nashua, Betty represents wards 3, 4, 5, 6, 3, 4, 6, 7, 9.
8 and 9.
8 and 9. The other senator, Senator Abard, represents wards 1, 2, and 5, plus Hollis, Brookline, Mason, and Greenville, correct? And we also have, and New Ipswich, all the way up to Greenville. We have Senator,
Yeah. Let me just give you, cut your work down a little bit. Senator Kelly is for rail. Senator Susie is for rail. And those are the two I would, well, Senator D'Alessandro is for rail. So am I correct, Bob?
Right.
So I would think, you know, you can cut down your calls, but the others, and as I said, Senator Abard, Senator Daniels, and Senator Booton, if you can't get through to anyone else, unfortunately, I think Senator Forrester is a lost cause. And she may be running for governor, so remember that name.
All right, so let's see who we have here. So how many people live in wards 1, 2, or 5 of Nashua? So you all are in Senator Abard's district, and it would be extremely helpful if you were to get in touch with them. And before we go too much further, you are vital in this fight, because the only way we're going to turn some of these people around is to activate all of the people who are here, which is a great number, but also involve more people in more districts in an ever wider zone. You are very important in persuading people to vote for this bill. One thing that was very disappointing in this last vote was that the town of Hudson, which stands to benefit very substantially by rail, their representatives in the House voted 9-1 against rail. Whereas Nashua, where we had Betty and others where we're working very hard, in Nashua, the reps voted 18-3 for rail, Hudson 9-1 against. Merrimack 7-1 against. So with that in mind, is there anyone else who lives in Kevin Abard's district to the west? Hollis, Brookline, Mason, one person to the west? Yes, and a whole group from Nashua. How about from Hudson or Londonderry? Do we have people? We have a person from Londonderry who's, you're the an official in Londonderry,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah.
And why don't you tell everyone your name?
Ted Combs from Londonderry, Budget Committee Chairman.
So Ted is from Londonderry. Is there anyone here from Hudson? One person.
But that's Senator Carson's.
That's Senator Carson. How about from Merrimack? Do we have people from Merrimack at all? One person from Merrimack. Well, certainly, pardon?
I'd like to hear what he has to say. Oh, well, thank you. I am wondering if you know where Karen Carson stands.
Do we know?
Sorry.
He wants to know how Senator Carson stands.
Oh, Senator Carson has voted against it. May I just make one more comment? The main objection seems to be obviously the operating costs, which we don't really, know for sure. There's been conjecture, and that's one of the things that this would flush out. But there's no transportation project that pays for itself. It's just the nature of them. So that's sort of a red herring. The other thing is, if you know anybody in the North Country, if you have friends, if you have a second home up there, anything, please get to the people from the North Country. Senator Woodburn is pro-rail. He's a senator from the North Country. But there's Senator Little. There are other, Senator Hosmer should be all right, but Senator Forrester, as we mentioned. The main objection and what is carried today is that they say, it's a Nashua, Manchester thing, and it's not going to help them. So the other thing is, though, if they realize it's so short-sighted, because clearly in one of the arguments you can use if you do that, I think, is that the Balsam, there's a huge project, renovation project that's going on at the Balsam, which was approved last session. I don't know how they think people are going to get there. So we need infrastructure, and we need, intermodal infrastructure to the North Country. And I think if we can get them to think about the bigger picture, hopefully that might make some headway.
Yes, Bill.
I just wanted to add that toll credit on the House floor, they use that as this is the rainy day fund that we're going to deplete. So to make sure that toll credit is not a rainy day fund, to clarify that.
So-
that was
So
used
yeah,
against
people
the
do
argument.
not understand.
Yes, and that is used as an again.
Or they are using disinformation to try to beat the bill.
Sure.
It's another study. We can use this money, even though the DOT has said, over and over and over and over, we can't use this money for anything else. They continue to repeat that argument. They continue to repeat this idea. It's just another study. We've already studied it. Why do we need to study it again?
So, all right, so I'll ask I'm sorry, I know there are a lot of other people, but I'll ask this real fast. Why wasn't it finished before? Why is there still more to do? Okay.
One step followed another, and frankly, because the executive council kept saying no, because of Council Wheeler, for one thing,
So-
we were late in starting the study.
So the executive
They
council insisted
analyzed
on,
different alternatives.
so they
and
broke it in half, and then,
Yes. So Bill in the back.
Yes, I have a question for the senator. It seems to me as though we lost in the House, so to be most effective is a companion bill in the Senate. We need to pass that Senate bill, go to a committee conference, and then pass it in the House. So should we not be focusing our energies
On the
on the
Senate.
Senate?
Right now, yes.
Pure and simple, that's what we need to do. The 13 senators, if we can get 13 senators to pass it, then it goes back to the House. We focus on 10 more reps in the House, and then we get the bill.
Frankly, we need 3 senators because we have 10.
But would it not be productive if we disseminate the senators, not the reps? The reps, it's already gone, I understand.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
So
That's why on the sheet are senators' names.
Secondly, I believe that the Chamber of Commerce, National Chamber is in favor of it, the BIA in Manchester is in favor of it.
Yes.
should we not get businesses like DIN, BAE, Fidelity?
Yes.
Yes, and they all have, last time when we were trying to get it through with the governor's budget, Dine and businesses from Manchester Chamber of Commerce has been very active
So
in,
it's really 3 senators that everybody here should be focused on.
well, at least 3, but that's what we need, yeah. And frankly, Daniels and Abard, it's unconscionable that Senator Abard, number 1, would not be voting for his.
Now, when this was in the House, some people testified in favor of this. I did, I think Betty did, the Chamber of Commerce, Tracy Hatch, and a few other people, of course, the commissioner and the DOT people. But there weren't that many witnesses and there weren't that many businesses, and there was very few, at least on the House side, very few people from Manchester. So if anybody, would we put out, when they decide when this is going to be heard, before the Senate committee, if there's anybody here who can come to the Senate and testify, that would be very helpful.
Because if that room had looked like this room looks like right now, there is absolutely, first of all, there's no way everyone would have been able to fit. But second of all, there's no way they would have been able to say that.
David.
Yeah, if I could just make a couple of comments. One about the chamber. I'm on the advocacy committee. I've been chairman of it over the years. It's kind of like Groundhog Day, and unfortunately, executive council ruler was the problem in the past. And the comment that was the rhetoric, rather, if you will, or the excuse was, well, this is going to cost the state so many hundreds of millions of dollars to do this, and we're just not going to do it, so why bother even looking at it? So there's a precursor, a precursor to this whole thing, to try and head it off by saying not only, no, they want to spend the money now, but the state's just never going to spend the money in the future. So we have to kind of have that, washed out. The other thing is the advocacy committee right now in the chamber will be putting together a very, very concerted effort with businesses in the area to go to that hearing.
We need that.
So there's no question that the chamber has been mobilized, energized, and I did talk to Tracy Hatch before I came here tonight, and it's already that part's in the works. But anybody here who's also not this chamber or not, shame on you, but that's okay. But if you're associated with businesses, even if you work for a company in the area, absolutely, get involved at that level. Because I agree that if that room looks like this, we're looking at a lot better
Now,
chance.
I'd like to introduce you to a couple other people from city government who've been very supportive of rail for a long time. Brian McCarthy from the president of the board of and Mike O'Brien is he's also a rep. Lori Wilshire's in the back.
Brett Dow.
Alderman Siegel.
Alderman Dow.
Alderman Dow. They're all very supportive. They were not here at the beginning because there's all these conflicts. There were city meetings and they were over at City Hall. So we thank them for coming, but they've repeatedly supported rail service.
and I'm also going to ask for a shameless plug, the public-private partnership bill, which is another tool that we hopefully can use to bring rail, and so that it will help the state not to put in a lot of money. In other words, it's a tool that will get private partners to foot the bill. And the state ends up, hopefully, with the project, perhaps with ownership of the project and other things. So we need to get that through the House as well. Went through the Senate fine. But it's being heard at the Public Works Committee. Is that your committee?
I think it's in here.
Is it? I thought it was Public Works on the 30th. Jan Kelly?
And the floor vote is on the 5th.
No, but we don't know that for sure. The committee hearing in the House is September, whatever month this is, March 30th. And I thought it was Public Works Committee. It is Public Works Committee. And the time of that, I believe, is 1:30
That's correct.
in the LOB. So please, anybody that can come up and sign in on that, or, you know, send a letter, to call the Public Works Committee in the House and tell them how important it is for you to pass Senate Bill 549.
I just want to raise a really important point, and that is, right, I know Bill Berry, thank you for touching on that, we need to basically, it says basically convince 3 senators. My thing, we can't just rely on 3 senators. We have to call all the senators. Whether or not we think, oh, it's a hopeless cause, it doesn't matter. We have to call them, because if we give up on them, then there's no, I mean, then might as well just go ahead and give up on it. So we can't. We have to call all 24 senators and let them know, including Ms. Betty Lasky, let her know that we're working on it, and Senator Lasky wanted to know that. So we have to call all the senators. That is that's like one of our top priorities. Second thing is that we have to write letters to the editor. Let the public know that we, A, we're here, B, that we really care about commuter rail, whether it's I commute to Boston every day and I want to make sure that I'm not taking 2 hours on Route 3, because Route 3 is terrible at about 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning, and 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the evening, it's also terrible. So making sure that people don't have these commutes where they can be sitting on a train and actually getting work done, like other cities do.
That's 2 full hours of productivity that a company could have that wasn't there before because someone was driving the car.
So those are 2 of
How far can we go without, obviously, Concord North is not really buying it, so how far can we go? Just
Well,
as
some
regional,
north are buying it. You know, Jeff Woodburn, for example, is way up.
So, I mean, as far as like the regional part, Boston.
I would concentrate first on your own senator, and then after that, the people nearby you, and then further north.
Right, but I'm just saying, of course, state government is very volatile, so next, we might be sitting better at 17.
We might.
The election.
We might. We need to work on that as well, but right now, we've got the vote coming up.
Yeah, we've got an
Mike,
opportunity now.
Michael.
I think one thing that would help the conversation for us is if we develop some talking points that could get repeated over and over and over again, that would appeal to the representatives in the outer districts, why it's in their best interest to approve the rail even though the rail doesn't touch their towns, because it will benefit them, but it's an indirect thing and they need to understand that, yeah, this is good for us too, even though the rail is far away. So we could just turn those 12 representatives over, that's all we need, then it would be a go. But we need to convince them with talking points to be repeated over and over again.
Yeah, I would pose 3 talking points. One for north, one for south, one for us.
We would also be in an island. We would be the only state without rail.
That's important.
In New England.
Yeah, let's get something modern here.
Is there-
Modern transportation
Is
system.
there anyone in the room from Pan Am?
Sir?
Thank you.
Nobody has said anything about the Downeaster. We need, I think, one additional talking point that's not on this page, and that is the success of the Downeaster. I've got 3 co-ed granddaughters in Boston that love to go to the beach house in Maine and ride the Downeaster and do their schoolwork on the train. They hate coming up Route 3 to visit me in Nashua because it takes too long. We had to buy a beach house. Do we not have some data that shows the success of the Downeaster as a model for what can be done up this?
We should come up with that, and 70,000 riders from Durham every year.
You go over there on Friday afternoon, you get inundated with students piling onto that train, either to go to the airport, or to go downtown and have a good time, or to go to a ball game, or some other event in Boston. The city of Dover has seen $100 million in economic development since that train started. Okay, the Children's Museum moved from Portsmouth to Dover because people could take the train, and they do, to come to visit the Children's Museum in Dover. They have 83 people every morning that get on the train and commute to Boston both ways. They've just reserved 50 additional parking places in the parking lot where the train station is for the commuters in the area, in the Dover area that use the train. So if you drive up to I think it's Wells, right? They got a transportation center up there. That was a public-private partnership between the chamber and some of the businesses up there, $2 million to put that up. Okay? And there's other improvements along the way. They're talking about making a significant improvement to the Portland station because they're going to be extending the line. They've already extended the line to Brunswick, and they're putting in a holdover facility, layover facility up in Brunswick. And Brunswick got $10 million in economic development.
That needs to be on these talking points on this.
Well, there's a study on the Northern New England Rail Passenger Authority webpage. Go to the study stage, click on that. It was issued last September. It'll be dated in September, and you can see some of the numbers on there.
Would you mind introducing yourself? Because I have a feeling a lot of people are going to want to talk to you.
I'm Tom Mahon. I live in Merrimack. I'm the vice chair of the town council in Merrimack, and I'm also the secretary of the Rail Transit Authority. I'm a former chair of the Rail Transit Authority.
And Tom's going to be the chair of that Merrimack committee.
Think of what it would do to our university and our colleges here. Think of the link between Boston and Manchester and the coast. Well, it wouldn't get us to the coast, but it just creates a subliminal link too to all these universities.
There's 30,000 students in the corridor.
Now, Ken just mentioned that there are public access channels in every town. So if you can get on the Hudson Public Access or Merrimack.
Oh, Senator Abar has a TV show.
Yes. No, I saw Elise. Yes, Elise.
I have some very quick set of data points. Dover, New Hampshire is 73 miles from Boston. Worcester, Mass is 46 miles from Boston. Providence, Rhode Island is 50 miles from Boston. Nashua is 43 miles from Boston. We're closer than all of them, and we're the only one without rail. So that's numbers. Those are numbers that anyone can understand. Maybe unless you're voting against them.
Mayor,
Yes, Dan.
could I just pick up on two pieces? My name is Dan Weeks, and this is a major reason why I'm running for executive council to try to replace Mr. Wheeler. I think we're trying to do two things here. We're trying to change minds, and we're trying to change votes. Changing minds takes longer, and the arguments, the talking points that we're talking about are very important, and I hope we all can make time to delve into them and communicate them thoughtfully through letters to the editor and op-eds and on local community access TV, etc. In the short term, changing votes, from my experience in legislative fights, it's kind of about brute force. It's the number of calls, the number of emails, the number of letters that we can get into the right representatives. And yeah, I think we should go for all of them, but we should start smart with the handful, the three that we've identified, and just bombard them with our sentiment that this needs to happen. As far as the arguments, I think we've heard a lot of them tonight, and we can all put them in our own words and speak from our own experience. That will make them more powerful. But we've just got to get the numbers up. So, you know, I need to look in the mirror here. I haven't done nearly enough calling or testifying, and I plan to do that. But I hope that not only will everyone in this room do that, but we will get 5 of our friends or family members, especially if they live in other parts of the state, to write into these targeted representatives. And we just need to put the fear in them that they're going to lose their next election coming up this fall if they don't vote the right way. So I hope we'll put that first, but keep working on the talking points and changing minds, the longer term project as well.
And if you don't know how to advocate, put their phone numbers in your cell phone now and pick up the phone tomorrow. Start at your dinner table with your family, writing postcards, writing letters. Do that tomorrow night at dinner. Then find out how you write a letter to the editor, and do that before Saturday. Are we clear?
That's what it will take. That's what it will take to bring hundreds of millions of dollars in new investments to move our state forward.
And I noticed that these are all office numbers. here.
Because they don't list their personal
Yeah,
numbers.
and I know the Republicans do not list their personal, but I might see if I can get.
All right, now, we want to get a committee in every town, so we want to get people in Merrimack calling and expand in Hudson, in every town, so that we can have people all over the region contacting their senators. So we'll be working on that. Yes.
One is a suggestion,
Yeah.
comment. I think we need to approach some of our elected officials with what New Hampshire has to lose if we don't get the train. In terms of young people leaving, in terms of lack of higher education, in terms of lack of employment, in terms of people not moving into the state. Those are all very expensive things that maybe we could approach our people who are against the train that maybe they're not looking at. Because we could very easily become like one of the tumbleweeds go by. So I think that might be a good point if you're going to call the reps to kind of bring to their attention that train is access to higher education, to culture, to the arts, to medical care. So my other suggestion based on that would be if you have a doctor's appointment or an interview in Boston, please forward the state reps or the state senators who did not vote for train and ask them to please transport you.
I wanted to mention that we do have a friend in Congress who is Annie Custer, the member of Congress. She wrote us a long letter, which I would read, but I don't think we have much, we have limited time. But she will do anything she can to help with this at the federal level.
She had a terrific forum a few months back with regional people. The commissioner was there, people from Maine, whatever. And again, we are falling behind.
David.
I know that time is running short, so I have this question of, do we know the numbers of what level of economic improvements or how millennials affect our economy, and with them departing the state or not wanting to leave the state because of lack of rails, essentially, what the solid or the numbers effects that would actually have? Just saying it is one thing. If we know exactly saying, yeah, it's going to cost our state $50 million in revenue, with them moving out, that can have more of an
second
impact.
oldest state in the nation.
But we are working on it.
We have testimonials from groups of people, from startups, who say that they want these young people graduating from college from Boston, and they ask them a question: how many of you are likely to come up to New Hampshire? And very few people raise their hand. And when he asked again how many people would come up if there was a rail from Boston, from South Station to New Hampshire, and anyway,
Could be South Station.
so a lot more people raise their hands when they said that.
Do we have a strategy with those employers? Is someone specifically targeting those sort of advanced manufacturing kinds of employers?
We have numbers in Manchester that will show that.
David, is there a link that we can make between employers, going further north if the infrastructure were there? Do we?
I think one powerful set of data, if you listen to the exchange this morning, and you can always stream it online on NHPR, they talked about this, and there are over 1,000 vacancies, many of them in high tech, which are holding our whole state economy back. Right. We have a 10% labor market decline in the coming years. The low unemployment means it's extremely hard to grow and expand our economy, to bring new workers in, laid out very well in the exchange. And from a whole state economy perspective, not to mention the $245 million in federal investments to construct rail, which brings these 5,700 jobs, etc. There are a lot of really strong economic arguments, so we can win this argument.
So I think that we're going to start wrapping up because the library does close. We do want to be respectful of the time of all of you and also the employees here. But before we wrap up, one thing I did just want to take the time to do is acknowledge the great capacity in this room. Raise your hand if you're a business leader in this room or a business owner of some kind. Raise your hand if you're a millennial. visit in Boston that you can't visit right now really easily?
You have to go to Route 3.
Raise your hand if you sat in 2 hours of traffic.
Yeah.
And raise your hand if you'd like to take a ski train to the North Country.
All of that is possible, but not if we all walk away from this room and let this be. It is only possible if every single person in this room makes at least one phone call and hopefully more. And that's essential. So please don't walk away from this room thinking that action is listening, because action is more than that. It's not just posting on Facebook, it's talking to the people in your community, it's talking to the people that you're friends with, it's talking to the people that you don't agree with politically, but you know you can find common ground on this.
So Ally, it would be engaging everybody.
Everybody. So I'm going to let Mayor Donchess say some final remarks before we head out.
Well, we really need your help on this. We want to try to form a committee in every Senate district, so we'll be in touch. You can contact Ally or Manny at any time. Also Kim Kleiner from the mayor's office, or the alderman here, Dan Weeks, Betty, anybody who's been active here, Sandy.
Quick question, are you going to follow up the meeting this evening with an email that highlights everything we discussed?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So we really need your help. Only through hard work over a long period of time, especially over the next few weeks, when we make a difference. We really appreciate your interest. Thank you very much for coming.